Down. Hey Renee, welcome to the Conscious Business Podcast. It's so good to have you in the studio today. How are you?
Oh, delighted to be here. And it feels like a long time coming, but yeah, looking forward to this today.
Renee, it's been such a big couple of months. These last 3 months since we first met have been huge, obviously, for yourself as well. And lots have been going on. Lots of shifts are happening, especially in the business world today. And we are here talking about mindset today because
Yeah.
not only are you a sought after communication, leadership, and mindset expert, but you're a speaker, international award winning author, facilitator, educator, and coach. And you work specifically with leaders, teams, and organizations to energize mindset and accelerate communication, collab, and leadership. And you lift performance and culture. So I'm so excited about our chat today.
Thank
And
you.
there's so much to dive into. But before we do, I was very lucky to meet you at the Melbourne Business Network about 3 months ago. And I was one of the ones that received your wonderful book, your beautiful book, Gift Mindset. And I've been diving into it in small chunks while everything's been happening, going on. And every moment that I have with it, I feel like I'm savoring a really nice cup of coffee.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
there are so many gifts in your book, but I'd love to hear from your words. What is gift mindset all about? Who's it for? And what gifts does it have to bring to business owners or just people in general?
Oh, thank you, Phoebe. Yeah, so the gift mindset is a mindset that I adopted at a young age. I didn't have a name for it. And then, sort of in the last 5 or 6 years, I started bringing it into conversation and into a lot of the workshops and programs we run. And it's all about stepping back and being open to unwrap the gifts or the lessons in every challenging or positive experience. And I think we're all faced with adversity. Look at the pandemic. We're all faced with challenges we choose or challenges we don't choose. And we're also faced with challenging people at times. If you haven't been, you will be. And when we have success in our lives, we learn so much along the way too. So my purpose is really just to get people to be aware and accept the way they've got to things, whether big or small, and be able to use those lessons to progress themselves and even better, help progress others forward. Because I think we get caught up in doing and not being, and next thing, next celebration, next challenge, next this, next that, but we need to step back and go, how have we got this far? What are the biggest gifts? How can we look at things as a gift and share that with others? Because it could be a survival guide for them.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I love what you say about how can we start being rather than doing and achieving and
Yeah.
having and aiming for the next big thing. And you obviously have, personally experienced a lot of challenges that have made you resilient, made you stronger, changed your perspective on things, and you've grown your business to such you have a powerhouse, and I'm excited to speak more about that as well. But I'd love to know, when I was reading and going through your book, you specifically talk about a time that was a challenging time for you in your childhood, in your early younger years, and it really moved me. It was something that reminds me, in fact, of what I'm going through at the moment with my granddad going through
Mm,
hospital, and
yeah.
talking about the end and things like that. And you talk about what happened with your dad. It was
Yeah.
it was deep. It was
Yeah.
raw.
Mm.
What were some of those gifts that have carried through right through to now, and how
Oh,
did you overcome that?
well, it's amazing that story that has stood out to you, because that's when I came up with the term gift mindset, was from that. So I, really in a nutshell, I was in my early 20s, and, I'd been in the States for a year doing Camp America teaching dancing, which was an amazing experience in my gap year. And I came back and I was going for a job in a big multinational. And I was very close to my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur in the 70s. He was in the rag trade, so the fashion houses and ad agency and alternative creative like me. And he said to me, "We're not doing our Tuesday dinner until you get that job." And the job that I went for was a 4-month assessment. It was Mars Confectionery Global. So it was a graduate role. Anyway, the night before my last presentation, and I won't go too into it, but for the sake of time, I had a feeling, I'm a bit of an intuitive, and I had a feeling something was wrong. My dad wasn't sick, but I knew something had happened to someone in my family. I came home, mum and dad were separated but close friends, and mum said, "You've got to go straight to the hospital." And we got there, and my dad had just passed away suddenly from a heart attack at 50 years old, which is, as we record this today, Phoebe, I'm 50 in August. So, it's not old. When you're younger, you think it's old. And I was devastated. Some people called me ruthless. But the next morning, my best friend picked me up and I went into the city and I presented my last presentation for this role. I don't know how I got through. I didn't tell them. I collapsed at the end, then they sent me for a medical, so that backfired. Still didn't tell them. And I ended up getting that role, and I was at the most amazing company, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now with that background. I was there for 12 years. What it taught me was, and it's hard to see the gift in an experience that's happening in front of us, and sometimes we hide it. And at the time, I didn't see the gift. But what the gift was for me, I had this auto surge happen within me. I can't explain it. And and you know me, I'm highly energetic. Just this zest for life to make the most of every day that my dad couldn't. And I really feel he's living through me. Sometimes I almost feel him talking to me and channeling. It's amazing. But the gift of resilience, the gift of growth, and the gift of courage are the three of the 12 gifts we say come through these things that stood out for me. I learned that I could get through anything. I learned to be grateful because I think optimism and gratitude underpin resilience. I felt so grateful to be alive and have the opportunities that he never got to have. I grew as a person. I went into the big corporate world and worked very hard and learnt a lot, and then left and started my own business from scratch in a totally different thing. I went from sales and leadership roles to running a company now where we work with hundreds of multinational corporates. And I think the gift of courage, courage comes from the French word "corps," which is heart. And the courage I had to go through, even writing the eulogy and organising the funeral at that age in 2 days. I don't remember any of it, by the way. But I had this courage to departmentalise and get a grip and get things together. So that experience, as hard as it is, and I would never want it for the world to have happened, there were some amazing soft or life skills that have served me, and made me who I am and who I'm continually becoming.
Renee, that is
Mm,
so profound. I'm very, very grateful that you wrote this book because I think anyone that gets their hands on it has so many golden nuggets to
oh,
receive.
thank you.
And when you share about, decompartmentalizing as well,
Mm,
I think people have this idea that, it's like we go numb to focus on work or something like
yeah.
that. But I think ultimately in business there is a form of setting aside things like our emotions, for example, in
Yeah.
order to get stuff done. and
Yes.
and in that there are gifts of that as well, gifts of focus, gifts of, like you say, resilience,
Creativity.
creativity.
Creativity. I agree. You got to be careful with that word. It wasn't like I went, oh, don't deal with it. That's different. But I do say to a lot of clients and friends and family, when you're feeling down and out, you know, get busy. I don't usually use that word, but get busy and take action. Gets you out of your head. It's called attention out instead of attention in. Um, and have days where you feel crappy. Let people know, but just don't make it every day.
Mm,
Yeah.
agreed. Renee, you also talk about being obsessed with working with individuals and their teams to help them realize and achieve what's possible. And, it results in more performance, more success. And you're very passionate about helping people achieve their goals.
Yes.
What are some of the things you think are the skills that people have in order to achieve things that are difficult, challenging, or things that other people say are impossible? Men
Yeah.
have landed on the moon. We've got people talking about landing humans on Mars, Elon
Yes.
Musk. Why is it that there are some people that can make stuff that are
Mm.
impossible for everyone else, but they make it happen? And
Yes.
what makes them that 1% or 0.1%?
Yeah. I love that question, and we could talk for hours about this. But I think it comes down comes down to your what I call your why to fly. If I didn't have a strong purpose in my business, I will tell you now what we went through during COVID. We lost nearly everything and had to rebuild. We wouldn't be here today. So, a strong why, a compelling reason to want to chase that goal, achieve that thing, big or small, it's important. It doesn't have to be some big materialistic thing. Success, know what success is for you. I ran or facilitated a lunch the other week on reimagining success. And for me, success can be an outcome, a process. For me, it's a feeling. It's the
Mm,
feeling of seeing others grow reinforces this is success.
mm,
So knowing what that is for you, I think is really important. And the fourth thing, main thing, which we do so much work on, is motivation. If you're not motivated to achieve motivation's the fuel. A is the destination, you're the car, the motivation is the fuel to get you there. And Phoebe, a lot of people don't know this, but 65% of the predictability of you being successful in a role or your business comes down to doing the things that motivate you, not the things you're good at. Find out what you're good at and then look at what am I good at that I really enjoy, that energizes me. And that has this energy, I believe, that just fuels you forward.
mm. Renee,
Mm.
what do you think is the difference between motivation and inspiration? And because sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, don't try and be motivated.
Oh,
That's external." Da da da. I recently saw someone share about how they've stopped doing their morning ritual because it was owning them, and but that was the thing that
mm.
motivated them at the same time, but they felt like that was something that was also holding them back from just.
Maybe it changed. It changed. I think motivation to me, as I mentioned, is an energy and a fuel. I think it's within you, can come from external things. So people might say money's a motivator. I don't agree. It's what money gives you, choice and freedom. But I think motivation's sort of the fuel that energizes you. Inspiration, I think, is what you feel from others.
Mm,
So I always get told I'm very motivating and I feel inspired by you, Renee. So they're interlinked. But I have a question, Phoebe. This would be my question on my deathbed. God forbid, I'd still be able to speak, I think. It's what lights you up. Do what lights you up. And people go to me, wow. And I go, think of in work and out of work. So in work, if you could do, Phoebe, if you could do something for every minute of the day for a week in what you do, what would it be?
it'd be connecting with people like what we're doing right now, hearing their stories.
Right. Okay, not all the admin behind the scenes stuff. You're like me,
Not
delivery.
even, believe it or not, even though I'm known for social media marketing, but not even that. It's
No,
really just comes down to people, connection, and stories.
there you go. So, what I would say to you is bring that in as much as you can. And I know being a business owner, there's writing, there's selling, there's designing, there's a million things. But bring in the thing that you love the most in your job, especially on a Monday. It sets the tone for the week. So during COVID, when we lost everything, I ran 6 free webinars every Monday for 2 months. I was in service to everyone and I love helping and giving. Sunday nights, I was excited because I was doing my favorite bit on the Monday and it sets the tone for the week. So,
Mm.
really important. So, if you're out there now and you're a connector like we both are, and you love your clients or being with your team, don't wait till Friday afternoon for your team meeting. Do it on a Monday.
Oh, totally agree.
So, it's very simple, but it's not always easy to implement when we get caught up in the doing.
I love that. I'm actually gonna use that gift and
Yeah.
thank you. Now, Renee, you've published not only The Gifts Mindset, but you've actually published 3 books. Your first book was Limitless Leadership in
Yeah.
2016. That was something that you gave to the world, and that was your first gift to the world. And then that followed by The Leaders of Influence. Tell us a little bit about those 2 books.
Yeah.
What do they offer?
Yeah, the limitless leadership, that's our brand. We create, accelerate limitless leaders. So limitless is a word that resonates with me. And I say to everybody, you should have a big word in life that things fall into. And I know myself and my clients, every quarter we have a big word for that 90 days. So it could be focus, could be balance, could be surrender, could be self care, whatever it is. And limitless is something that I believe we all are. So, a limitless leader, and what the book's about, is even if you don't have a team, you're a leader. So, you're a leader of self, you're a leader of decisions, and you could be a leader of others indirectly. So, the book is called Limitless Leadership, a guide to leading from the inside out. So, it's all about self leadership, purpose, values, beliefs. You work through the book. It's been really, really popular, and it's a base of our Limitless Leaders program that we run. And Leaders of Influence, I was lucky to be part of an anthology with some other leaders from around Australia sharing a story about what leadership is. And then obviously, Gift Mindset's been sort of my much bigger book published. So the first 2 books were self published, and Gift Mindset was published by quite a large publishing house. So very
Amazing.
different process for those doing books.
Mm.
Um, very different. Yeah. Yeah.
Renee, when you were self-publishing, obviously you mentioned it is such a long process, and it's something that some people aspire to do, and some people do
Yeah.
because they'd prefer it, to see if it's going to take off. And
Yeah.
what were your motivators, or what were the things that really helped get you going during, because not, it doesn't happen overnight. Not everyone can do it either. There's a lot of
No, it's a big
areas you're
commitment.
focusing on in your business. How
It's a
did
big,
you get that off the ground, and
yeah.
how did you know that leadership was a topic that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
Did Were you ever held back by all the other authors that were out there and thinking it's been done before? I know there's a
Yeah.
few questions there, but
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a good question. So I've always written. So first of all, I've been writing since I was about 8 years old. I've got boxes of books and poetry. So I've always written. And those out there that say you're not an author, if you're writing blogs and content, you're actually an author. So that's a really cool thing. Um, Limitless Leadership came about, it was what I call a cluster book, which means I'd written a program, was going very, very well, and I thought I want to capture it in a book and be an authority and own that limitless leadership space. did I do comparison syndrome for a little bit? But something a mentor told me years ago is nobody is you. So there's a million social media marketers out there, there's a million leadership experts out there, but be original, be a thought leader, not a thought repeater. So everything I write is my IP, my models, my thinking. I very rarely refer to other people's stuff. So that gave me confidence to go, I want to share this. And being both my books I wrote within 3 months. So I'm very disciplined. I write as a habit out of hours. I don't have the luxury of sitting in my office writing a book during the week. So during COVID, I wrote Gift Mindset in 12, I think it was 14 weekends. This is a big book and it was cut back. And I was in flow. I had a great editor, a structure. We could talk forever about book writing, but I set a word count habit for every weekend. So if it was 10,000 words and I did 12,000, I could do 8,000 the next weekend. And as my editor edited it during the week at night, I'd go back with those and then write the next chapters. So we had a working rhythm. That's a short time to write a book. I've got people that have written a book this big that's taken them 30 years. Everyone's different, but I was so in flow with this. And I had a lot of blogs, and I've got my own Limitless Leaders podcast that I took some interviews off and transcribed into here as well.
That's so good.
And I think to your question, it's going, what does the world need? Gift Mindset wasn't written for COVID. I've had this concept for years, but I think now more than ever, people are embracing it. And I think just speaking from the heart and knowing who you're writing for is really important. This book in particular is CEOs, leaders, universities, schools, mums, dads. It's human behavior. So to write it was quite complex because I had to appeal to everybody. Whereas Limitless Leaders was for leaders of teams or people that are influencers in companies. Yeah.
So if you could summarize what Gift Mindsets is all about, or what is one big takeaway that you would like your readers to receive, what would that be?
Oh, that's a big question because there's a few. I just think take the time to create some self-awareness and self-reflection, to look at what's got you to where you are now, good or bad things. What are those key lessons, and bring them in as much as you can, because anything you've done, you can do again. If you're in a business, a startup, a corporate, encourage your team to share, but not share what happened. This is the issue. Not what, but how. The magic's in the how. And bring that in and create regular forums to share. So we've got some companies, Phoebe, doing Win Wednesdays. So they share a success they've had that they could share how they got there, so other teams can replicate success. They have Failure Fridays, which some call something else, which is where I stuffed up last week. This is what happened, but this is what I learnt. And creating boards around that and really sharing it. I really believe when we look at the lessons we've learned, we can learn so many other skills. And in the book, I've captured 12 skills or soft skills that I believe every lesson taps into, such as curiosity, resilience. And that way we can deepen and develop these skills. These are the skills of the future.
That's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much. Now, when you are working with organizations who want to be limitless, who want to leave a legacy behind and deliver value for their clients, and also be interactive with their team, and all of those things, you obviously work with a lot of large organizations and small businesses as well. And what is that key ingredient? Let's talk about team for a little bit, because I think that you've mentioned that, and I love what you've just shared. I think I totally agree that in an environment where you've got people that are, everyone's concerned about themselves, their work, are they delivering quality work, etc. Having those days where, I mean, in our team, in our organization, we have, we've got wins, challenges, and learnings.
Yeah.
So we talk about what we've learned for the week, what we've done really well, and what really stretched us, what were our challenges,
Yeah, I
and
love it.
everyone walks out inspired. And
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite meetings that I have with my team. What do you think is the key ingredient to a thriving team environment, to helping
Yeah.
people, live their legacy and
Yeah.
gel with one another?
I love that. I think comes down to connection, creativity, and collaboration. Now,
Mm,
there's a lot because there's a million things you can do as a team, but I think if you're connecting, so being there through the good and the bad, having these open forums, I think that's important. Leveraging each other's strengths. A lot of people don't. So I'll go into a team and I'll go, hey, you know, we'll do a strengths thing, and John will go, I love Excel, and Phoebe doesn't like Excel, but the manager keeps giving Phoebe Excel because it's good for her development. What he should be doing is giving John, you're great at Excel. Can you get this done? Hey, Phoebe, can you give him a hand? So, leveraging a strength based team, knowing what your strengths are and what motivates each other. Creativity, I say, because if you get creative as a team and you co build and workshop things, guess what the outcome is? Collaboration. So I got asked the other week to run this 1 hour collaboration, like in an hour. I said, I always say, get a comedian, you'll get more out of it in an hour. And I said, what's an idea you've got that you haven't pursued? The gift of curiosity. Let's observe, provocate, and explore an idea that the team has. So I said, you can do this yourself as a leader or a manager, own it and do it. They did that, and they're like, oh wow, we're actually just got this bond now, and that's collaboration. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things, but the key things is know and grow your people, know and grow each other, be curious and understand each other's strengths.
I
Yeah.
love that, Renee. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I think what you've just said is truly inspiring, and there's so much to delve into in that.
Yeah.
Now, before we go into the rapid fire questions today, I'd love to know a little bit more about what you're currently doing in your business, and what programs that you may have, or
Yeah.
how people can not only take this on board but workshop it, or really dive into it with you. What are some ways that
Yeah.
you work with your clients?
Yeah, so we work in a few different ways. We've got some really immersive transformational workshop programs. So we've got the gift mindset culture program, which is super exciting. And what it is, you can run it over any amount of time, but we spend some time on understanding the gift mindset, and then we look at what of those 12 skills do you and your teams need to build in what order, and they're half-day workshops, so really interactive placemats, 90-day planners, and we unpack that. And our other signature program, Phoebe, is our Limitless Leaders Acceleration Program. So we work with emerging, mid, or C-suite, and we tailor the program to you based around our limitless leadership enablers and tools. And the exciting bit is, we run face to face, then we have a virtual mastermind, virtual group coaching, and some one on one. So we don't believe in sugar hits. You
Mm,
can run a great day, you'll love it, nothing happens. So it's about not
mm,
being transactional, but transformational. And I do one on one coaching and group coaching as well, my team and I. And obviously, how we met speaking at conferences, events, and offsites. We do, I just want to mention, we do a lot with companies, as you mentioned, in house. But every 90 days, we launch a new public program. The next one is August, and it's capped at 20 people. from 20 companies. And it's any level of leadership, and we have a theme. So in August, it's all going to be around leading team development and connection. And it's a 1 day workshop and then 2 virtual sessions where you learn, grow, and connect with people outside your industry, which is what the special sauce of the program is.
Amazing. That sounds
Yeah.
very, very exciting, Renee. And I think that, there's so much value that can, I truly believe that the work you do is not something that can be done overnight. I truly believe
No.
that one of the best things a business owner can invest in is themselves
Yeah,
and their teams.
that's
And
right.
when you spend that time to really not only unpack what you've just shared, and particularly with the 12 gifts, especially with your team, everyone has something unique to learn
Oh,
from that, and everyone's experience is going to be different, and it's a really colorful and vibrant
mm,
palette of everybody's journeys start to evolve quite rapidly, I think, and I'm sure you've seen a
yeah.
lot of that.
Definitely. And I think too, having that forum and that space to step back and invest in yourself is so important. And you hit the nail on the head. I have a saying: people before process, before progress. And I think everyone's going 120 miles an hour after COVID. Yeah, everyone was like, I'm not going to do that. Everyone's doing it. Um, and worrying about bottom line, getting the rungs on the board, and forgetting about the people. So, my biggest advice is to understand your people, coach your people, take time to know and grow them, and do that for yourself as well. You need to, if you're a business owner, self growth habits. World is your oyster now, but don't overdo it. Go, what do I need to learn? How do I like to learn? And then go and access that.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Renee, I've got 5 rapid fire questions to wrap
Rapid
this up
fire. It sounds
today.
scary.
And it allows us to really get to know you deeper on another level. So, are you happy for me to ask away?
You go for it.
Okay, I'm excited. So, rapid fire question number 1 is, if there was one thing you cannot live a single day without, whether it's something physical or not, what would that one thing be?
Coffee.
We actually haven't had that one before either. That's good.
I'm Italian background, and I've had some health issues lately, so I've been off coffee for 2 weeks, and oh my gosh, I thought I'd lost my personality. So I'm back to one a day.
And what kind of coffee do you have? What would you order at a cafe?
I still love a latte or a short black.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Sounds
a
good.
real, I say it's share of stomach, so I don't want to sound like a snob, but I don't do instant where possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get it. I totally get it, especially when you're from Melbourne, right?
Yeah, oh, we do. We have the best coffee in the world.
We do. We do. Now, what would you say is the one thing? I know we've already touched on it. It's also in your
Yeah.
book, but it might be a different answer. I'm not sure. What or who inspired you to do what you do today?
Or there's a lot. I have to say, I could probably name 30 different people, but I think it has to come back to a combination of my mum and my dad. My dad was the entrepreneur, mum was in the corporate world, and there was that real mix of thinking, don't do your own business or don't go in the corporate world. And I think that meshed, and I got the learnings from both, I'd have to say. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's amazing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, or what do you think you would have accomplished in the next 5 years? I know that's quite a big question, and there's probably a lot there, but yeah, what's the vision for 5 years from now?
It's 5 years' time and we're chatting. I would like to see people adopting the gift mindset and it becomes a global movement. That's what I that's what I envisage. Do I have the whole pathway to that yet? No, I'll be very honest. There's things shifting and moving, but I think continuing to make workplaces exceptional places to work and helping people realize and achieve their limitless potential. That I don't see going, but I see it being more amplified. I see another book, definitely. And I see myself living down near the water.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait to be interviewing you in 5 years' time and hearing more
Yes,
about
hopefully.
what's happening.
Yeah,
And maybe you'll be at your, at your home by the ocean
I would hope
around then.
so. Jeez.
Renee, what's one big takeaway that you've recently had that has changed the way you see the world?
Everybody is different, and respect and nurture that. I think I've known that, but I don't think I've always done that. Some people are realistic, some are righteous. There's no wrong or right, there just is. So I think that's the essence of connection, is to really not just think it but feel it and appreciate the diversity of others and what you can learn from them.
So
Yeah.
true. So, so true.
Mm.
And if you could leave the world with one message, what would it be?
You know what it is. Do what lights you up, and don't manage that. Satisfy that as much as you can throughout your life, in and out of work. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for your
Oh,
time, Renee.
pleasure.
That was absolutely amazing. I've loved talking to you. You have shared so many golden nuggets with me, and I feel like, you're channeling some incredible gifts
Thanks,
and
Phoebe. Thanks for
wisdom.
having me. Been
It's been
absolute
such a
pleasure. I've
pleasure.
been looking forward to this.
Likewise, Renee, it's been so good to have you on. And for anyone that wants to connect with you or, not only connect with you, but how can I and the listeners give back and serve you today? Because
Oh,
you offer so much.
lovely. Look, maybe put my name in the show notes because it's quite a long one. There's 3 double letters in there. But LinkedIn, Renee Geruso, giftmindset.com is the website for the book. And I'd like to say there's lots and lots of free posters you can download, infographics, free chapters, and reneegeruso.com, which will take you to all our programs, our purpose, what we do. And we write a lot for me, or I write a lot for media. So you can go there. And Apple, your favorite podcast platform, Limitless Leaders. We've got a podcast there.
Amazing. I cannot wait to share that in the show notes and also in the caption for
Thank
those
you.
that are watching online on Facebook or YouTube. Renee, again, such a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to catch up and have our lattes together and be talking about the gifts mindset. And I am so, so thrilled that you're well, that you have so much that you're sharing with the world. And I wish you all the best for this amazing journey that you have
Thank
ahead.
you.
And once again, it's been such a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to having this spread and this message heard by not only the audience but the community outside of Thrive and Shine Co. and all the people that are tuning in. So thank you for those that are
Pleasure.
listening, and thanks Renee for being on.
Thank you. Thanks, Phoebe.